Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. And today we have a very special treat for you. All of you keep saying, why are there no great games from India? Why are there no excellent PC games, console games coming out of India? I'm here to answer your call. I'm here with someone who has just released the kind of game that you guys want to play. And today we're going to be talking about the game. We're going to be talking about the process. We're going to be talking about the challenges so that you can learn from them and you can build games as well. So let's go. So today we have with us Neeraj, who is the founder of Silvine Game Studio, and their game is Artifice War Tactics and is just released on Steam. So welcome Neeraj. How are you doing?
Hi everyone, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the channel. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Tell us about your game to start with. Tell us about Artifice War Tactics, please.
Artifice War Tactics is a turn-based strategy roguelike game. It's based on a medieval fantasy period. We've just released from early access to 1.0 last month, August 16th, and it's going great. We are working on some updates, and please do check it out.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about quick background about yourself, please.
I've been in the industry for close to 14 to 15 years right now, and this is my second stint into the gaming indie space. Previously, I was the co-founder and partner at Govt Studio, where we developed and shipped Asura. Fast forward to now, bootstrap the company Silvine Game Studios in Jan of 2020, and we just happened to release our game. Excited to reveal more updates from us soon.
Awesome. So how long from the beginning to the end, like how long was your development process? And also like when you started, how much time did you say it would take versus how much time did it actually take?
Oh yeah, that's a funny story. So initially we started saying that we'll try to make the game in say 1.5 years or maximum 2 years, and that kind of almost doubled or more than doubled right now. Just a quick pro tip for anyone who's just starting now. I would suggest stick to the scope. I do understand dragging a game is good for the polish level and all, but sometimes it's a very difficult journey that you have to go through because starting a game is your motivations are super high, you're super optimistic, but as you get closer to finishing a game, it's a very difficult and a rough journey that you have to go through. Finishing a game itself is a big relief, but yeah, that's a learning that try to stick to the scope and try to define your benchmarks properly so that you don't like derail it at a drastic level.
Right, because there's a very old saying that the last 10% of a game is actually another 90%. So, there's 90%, that's the first 90%, and then the last 10%, which is really hard because, you're out of time, everyone's tired, it's taking double amount of time, you're out of money, you just want to put the game out there, it's
Yeah.
just pretty crazy when you get close to the end, right?
True. Yeah, it's always there. Like when we look at the work, the level of work that we have done and scrapped through this whole timeline, I think most of our work was done in the last, I would say, 1.5 years. That's where we kind of redid the game multiple times over and over again, and finally decided this is what is going to work for us, and we stuck to that.
Awesome. So tell us about tell us about the platform of the game, platform and projected future platforms as well.
Right now it's built using Unity game engine, and we have released it on PC or Steam. We will be releasing on other storefronts on the PC platform as well, and we are looking at a possible mobile port few months down the line. Consoles, we are still in discussions with Xbox and Sony regarding it.
Okay, awesome stuff. So now tell us a little bit more about the process of design. Like how long did the pre-production take? Did you just start building the game? How long did you take to decide the genre? Was there any strategy behind, okay, let's make this particular genre? Like was there any marketing strategy behind it? Was it a pure passion project? So what were your thoughts when you actually started with the game?
Partially it was a passion project because we've loved playing games like Into the Breach and XCOM. So we always wanted to make like a turn-based strategy game that of ours with a unique and cool concept, and that's where we started getting ideas for Artifice. And initially we started with a pen and paper prototype. So me and Obik and Vishal will play all day trying to figure out which mechanical work because it's the easiest way to prototype. You don't have to code, you don't have to worry about about art, you just start with a pen and paper prototype. We started with it. We thought we got something interesting. Then we started building the prototype, and slowly the journey started from there.
Okay, awesome. And was there any specific reason why you chose Unity? Is it because you were familiar with it, or why Unity and why not Unreal?
Unity, because I am like well versed with it. I've been using Unity for the past right now 14 years, but at that time it would have been 8 to 9 years, I guess. So it was my go-to engine for anything and everything related to game programming. So it was just easy. I didn't want additional challenges in terms of development with the engine. As is game development is a challenging endeavor, so less challenges better for you.
Right. And tell us about the team size and the composition.
Right. So team size, it was five of us. Like I was doing the programming side along with me. Vishal was there. He was also a lead programmer, and Obik was the lead designer who was helping us with the design aspect and some of the art aspects as well, figuring out what concepts art and what are the things that we'll go with. And Ekta was studio support and QA. Along with her, Sanjeev was also helping on the QA side of things. Also, he was helping us with the dev support activities, basically helping us with some technical elements from Unity.
Okay, awesome.
So it was a team of five along with contractors.
Okay, so what were the contractors like? What about sound, art, etc.? Tell us about, because a lot of people want to set up their own studios, right? And
Right.
you've done that. You've got a studio. You started a game. You've finished a game. You've built a game. You've published a game. You've sold a game, right? So
Right.
tell us a little bit about the contractors, how you built your team with people from the outside, what work that you outsource, and how did that go?
So we wanted to keep the studio lean. Essentially, we wanted to build on a core team which were kind of self-sufficient. We were handicapped in that front where we didn't have an art person from day one, and we still don't have. But yet we took it as a challenge and tried to do it through contractors and art studios. So our contractors were for animation, rigging, sound, like BGMs, SFX, and even for modeling and texturing and concept arts as well. So we kind of pretty much outsourced anything and everything art to every from contractors and art studios. That kind of helped us mitigate some of the financial burden that we'll have to bear. Although it has its own challenges, but I think it worked for us.
Okay. And was it easy to find someone, or did you struggle for a bit? And like, how was it to actually find someone who's a right fit when it comes to art? Or what about sound also?
So sound, we did find someone very easily, and he made some amazing BGMs in the game. And for SFX, we had someone else. Like it was mostly reaching out through LinkedIn, or some of the time you get a mail from a good sound designer that they have a profile, and we eventually selected one who had a very nice profile that he has developed. And regarding the art part, it's definitely a bit challenging, but we fortunately found a really experienced art director who kind of helped. He has a thing for passion projects, so we were lucky enough to have him help us do the direction process. Because honestly, like not having an art background means you don't know what stylization to go for. What stylization is different one from the another. So how do you make it work? So he gave us kind of like a master class of things, and we slowly started understanding things a little better. I'm not saying we are like masters in it, but we have at least have a fundamental understanding of how to deal with art, right?
Right. Because here's the thing, you made a very good point. Because if you don't really know art, then you don't just need an artist who will just do whatever you tell them to do, because you don't know what to tell them.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know how to direct the art of a game. So you need someone who's an art director, someone who actually understands art, someone who looks at your project, says, okay, this is what I think will look good. This kind of shader, this kind of look, this kind of color palette, this kind of, when it comes to, and especially for a game as technical as yours, you need someone with a very high level of competence at art direction to actually pull it off, right?
Right, you're very right. I think we were fortunate enough to like have him as a contractor. So he helped us through a lot of the challenges, like you mentioned, figuring out what shader we'll do. We have numerous iterations figuring out what kind of poly count we should be going for, what kind of like post processing effects we'll go for. So we had a lot of iterations, level basis, character basis, working on the shaders, working on the textures, even reworked multiple times to make sure they look well. Then we had a different challenge with lighting. So there are like a lot of different aspects to art that you need to figure out. So I'm seriously grateful that we found him.
Fantastic, fantastic. Awesome stuff. So now tell us about your technical challenges. Tell about the stuff you built, right? Because building a game such as this is a very, very technical and very, very difficult endeavor, right? So
Right.
tell us a little bit about the mechanics of the game. Tell us about what was most challenging to build in this game, in Artifice War Tactics.
So before that, I'll have to tell you what the game is about and the pivots that we went through. Like I'll run it through briefly because that kind of sets a foundation of what we did. Artifice is a turn-based strategy game where you attack. Initially, you didn't have an attacking option. You could set only overwatches, and the enemies would do the same. So you could never do a direct attack. So and this was one of the big challenges, that it was very difficult explaining this to the player. And then we decided to do a pivot February of this year, when we managed to get a direct attack system working for the players. But for the enemies, we kept the Overwatch system the same. By Overwatch, I mean enemies don't attack, they set a pattern of attack. So they you have to figure out in the pattern which pattern is an active attack. So you get the gist of it. It's kind of difficult to explain even over the call. So we simplified the system, saying that enemies ka attack pattern ye hai, they'll attack in all of the directions, and players can attack wherever they feel like based on the pattern. So that kind of made it relatively straightforward for us to explain, and even for the player to play. Now, having said that, now since the game is based on or inspired by games like XCOM or Into the Breach, or in the fundamental levels, it's chess-like, right? The first thing people say, it's chess-like with a fantasy twist to it. So in order to come up with an algorithm, we thought, let's stick to what works, right? Now chess uses a zero sum system for the AI. So now coming up with the AI system, we had a slight modification to the zero sum system where we added layers to it, saying that now AI can possibly block a player champion in this particular grid by setting an Overwatch, or they can either block or even set an attack zone next to the player. So all these different conditions had to be factored in. So that is where we started adding layers to the zero sum system, along with that modifiers based on the game mode. Now we have different game modes. Chess may you don't have different game modes, right? It's very straightforward and very simple. Now our challenge was to have a variation when it comes to game modes. We have a game mode where you have to save a enemy champion from the other side of the board and bring them to your side of the board. Now in this, the zero sum system will work differently versus in a place where you have kind of a relic or like a bomb from your side of the board that you have to detonate a statue from the to the other side of the board. So the point is, there is different conditions and different game modes. So zero sum system was kind of built with a modification to factor all of these in.
Awesome, awesome. So what were the other technical challenges that you had? Like what was the stuff that you built, which was the stuff that you did technically when it comes to art pipeline, etc., that you feel is something that took a lot of doing and you faced a lot of difficulties about?
Right. So, we discussed before, the art pipeline was very difficult. So it was an art pipeline without an in-house artist. So we had to do a lot of groundwork research of what exactly we'll do to make sure we get the best quality game out there. So we before we met him, before we met our contractor, we went through different R&D phases to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Initially, we had like an anime-looking stylization, but that didn't work. That had its own set of complications, and we decided not to do that. And then running into budget issues of what works, what doesn't work. Eventually, when we landed a contract with him with our art director, we were able to minimize a lot of friction that we were going through our ourselves. So Obik would come up with the concept, set of requirements. We'll send it over to his team. He had one more person working with him, and they both were able to pull out some amazing looking concept art. I'll probably show you some of them in some time, and that gave us the motivation also to work, because we feel in a game team, it's not a one person's job to keep the motivation going.
Right.
So uh, initial motivation comes from the concept. The concept is given to the artist and to the programmer. Programmer brings life to the concept,
Mhm.
and artist gives a like a visual appeal to it. So this internally motivates the designer. So it's like a hand in hand thing that everyone
Yes.
needs to motivate each other.
Yes, yes. The first amazing, the one of the most amazing points in the development of a game is when you have a professional artist coming in and building something for you, and then that thing, you see that thing in your game, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Because you've just got like programmer art and some random stuff from the internet that you've been working with, and the first time you have something custom built in the game, you're like, wow. You just want to keep looking at it.
True,
You know?
true. We had that multiple movements. We were really happy with finally how the game looks and feels. Now we made some amazing looking levels as well. So same challenges with the level designs as well. Our game is not super complex in terms of exploration, since it goes on a grid of like a chess based grid. So but yet we wanted to decorate the environment, and in order to get the stylization right of what works, what doesn't work. Some of the times we were able to get some assets from the asset store, custom change it for the shaders, or whether it be a texture reworks. So we improvised wherever we needed to with the timeline and the budget. So this is how our kind of art pipeline works.
Awesome, awesome. And one question: were you guys working together? Were you working remotely?
Oh, yeah. So that's a story. Like what happened was we started in Jan of 2020, and lockdown kind of started in March, right? So we were thinking of going to co-working space then, but everything put on a back burner. So we were remotely working for a good amount of time. Then we tried to go to co-working space twice, and then COVID kept happening. Then we just gave up, saying ki, let's not take this overhead. Remote work is working for us. Let's stick to that. And we were super open in communication over Discord. So Discord used to be our gaming hub, and as well as game development, where we would be transparent about the communication of what we are working. We'll have our daily stand up and daily wrap up calls. So we were always open to like make sure there are no communication gaps created.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, I think it's very, very important to have those daily calls.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely very important to have those daily scrums and everyone's sitting down and talking to each other. Without that, with for any game development, like you can work remotely, but you need to kind of work like you're sitting in the same place.
Right. Exactly.
Right. If you lose even a couple of days, you lose track, things kind of go off the rails really
True. True.
badly. You know?
Yeah.
And did you have someone actually doing project management for you, or was it just like let's get stuff done?
So it was wearing multiple hats. So partially, I was responsible doing the project management slash production side of things. So I was responsible to communicate with the external art vendors and the contractors to make sure everything is going on smoothly. So initially, we didn't have anyone taking the role, but then I realized that is something that we need even for a smaller team, because a dedicated person requires to figure things out of how it's going on. So yeah, that was my responsibility.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about your marketing process? Because I guess like what was the marketing journey? How are you at marketing? Do you like marketing? Who did the marketing? What was your process?
So, marketing journey was a very difficult one. I mean, honestly, we're not good at marketing our game, and we trying to do as we go, as we get into it. But our mainly marketing cycle was putting out more posts on social media, participating in the Steam events. So, unfortunately, most of our development time happened during COVID, so we didn't get to go to any international events for showcasing our game. But even the Steam events got us a decent exposure to get a release.
Right. Like at what point did you start your own Discord server? And at what point did you start it?
So yeah, Discord server, the social media handles pretty much happened in the first few months of setting up the studio, and once we figured out what the game was, we are trying to go out there. But yeah, I think honestly can't tell much about marketing. We are doing as much as we can, and it's a learning process.
Right. And did you manage to, are you looking for like streamers, etc.? Because these days streamers playing your game is a big deal, right? Did you, how's that experience?
Yeah, so we did reach out to a PR agency who helped us get to the streamers. So essentially, our major marketing happened during the early access launch, like 2-3 months before the early access launch. That's where our major marketing push was there. And then eventually during our final release, also we had a bit of a marketing push. So it was reaching out to streamers through them. We were not able to pull off our timeline for dedicated for marketing.
Right, because marketing is actually a full-time job.
Right.
There needs to be someone in every game studio whose job is like that person's only job is to market the game and absolutely nothing else. And very few studios can actually afford that, you know. So which is why this whole thing of wearing multiple hats is something which wears people out, because you know you're baking your game, you're building your game, and you also have to sell your game at the same time. It's hard, right? It's
Yeah,
hard. And
it's
sure,
a very tough journey.
in ideally, you know, if you had a bunch of money, you would just throw a few lakhs at some streamers and be like, okay, fine, marketing, I make game, here's money, right? But there's,
Yeah.
yeah, so there you are. These are guys, so these are the challenges. You guys, everyone says they want to be indie game developers, they want to make the next God of War, they want to make this and make that. So these are the challenges that you are going to face, right? And these guys have built a game from scratch. They've actually released it, which is something which is a Herculean task. So once again, Neeraj, thank you so much. And guys, everyone, hopefully going forward, we'll create more content on this. We'll get Neeraj and his team back. Maybe they can share some of their processes. Let us know in the comments what you liked about the game and what you find intriguing and what process of game building you guys want to learn more about. And maybe I'll request Neeraj to come and actually his team to come and share more light on those processes and actually give some tips, some technical tips on those processes. So thank you so much, Neeraj. Guys, Artifice War Tactics is on Steam right now. The link is in the description of this video. So go right now, and if something that's yours, go buy the game, play the game, support Indian game studios. Guys are working really hard, making some wonderful games. Put this game out there, guys. Play this game, support them. Thank you so much, Neeraj, and I'll see you around.
Thank you, Rahul.
Bye. Let's go.